When the Game Awards nominees were announced last week, a glaring issue rose to the top, and that was Dave the Diver being nominated for Best Independent Game. The official post even received this Twitter community note against it. Now, the team that built Dave the Diver is called Mint Rocket, and they are owned by the billionaire South Korean mega publisher Nexon. And during a recent Q&A, Jeff Keighley answered a question about his nomination, and this was part of his answer.
Independent can mean different things to different people. And it's sort of a broad term, right? I mean, you can argue, does independent mean the budget of a game? Does independent mean where the source of financing was? Is it based on the team size? Is it the kind of independent spirit of a game, meaning kind of a smaller game that sort of is different? And I think, everyone has their own opinion about this. And we really defer to our jury, 120 global media outlets that vote on these awards, to kind of make that determination of, is something independent or not? In other industries, sometimes there are things. I think in the film industry, there's the budget can't be above this amount of dollars, or it's an independent game or not.
Now, right off the bat, I just want to say there isn't a combination of words anyone can string together to convince me that Dave the Diver is eligible for this category. And to be honest, this nomination should have been rejected by the Game Awards, and the 120 outlets should have been asked to pick a different nominee. But the solution to this problem was given by Jeff in his answer. They need guidelines, because without them, that means that any and every category is open to interpretation. The descriptor for Best Independent Game reads, for outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system. The problem with this is, unless the Game Awards themselves explains what their definition of the traditional publisher system is, these issues will persist. The eligibility requirements for something to be considered independent should not be left up to each individual voter. A committee within the Game Awards must come together and make this determination. So, for example, maybe your team must be wholly independent, and the development and publishing must be handled by that same entity, such as Sabotage Studios' Sea of Stars, maybe a minimum budget or team size. Whatever that may be, it's something that Jeff and his team need to come up with. You can't create a category and then tell us that the eligibility for that category means different things to different people. That just means you have to do a better job at defining it. For example, the Academy Awards guideline for Best Live Action Short Film defines short as being not more than 40 minutes, including all credits. It doesn't leave it in the hands of voters to create their own definition for the word short. So clear definitions are needed, even if they're hard to determine, and Best RPG is a great example. It feels like every game has what some consider RPG elements, but this category could use a bit more clarification. It's currently defined as the best game design with rich player character customization and progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. By that definition, Lies of P and Final Fantasy 16 shouldn't be here, because to me, rich player character customization means I can build my character from scratch and not play a predefined role, and changing attire does not meet the definition of rich customization. But since that isn't clearly defined, it means as an outlet, I could vote for Spider-Man 2 because it has progression and a form of customization with different suits. Now, coming up with these guidelines won't be easy, but it is necessary. The other problem with the Game Awards categories is that it seems like even when there are guidelines put in place, voters are allowed to ignore them. Best Fighting Game is for the best game designed primarily around head-to-head combat, but in 2022, Sifu was nominated, a single-player game that was definitely not primarily designed around head-to-head combat. So not only do guidelines need to be put in place, the Game Awards needs to enforce those guidelines. Now, one issue that can come about when creating these guidelines is it can leave smaller games in limbo. And those are the games that we should be highlighting at the Game Awards. There are hundreds of great games released every year, and their only opportunity to be nominated is either Best Indie or Debut Indie, as it's rare for a smaller game to break through to other categories, especially in a crazy year like we had in 2023. So Dave the Diver is a game that should be celebrated. It was a critical and commercial success, but if we agree it isn't independent, then it really doesn't stand a shot anywhere else this year. And this is my final proposition when it comes to independent categories. It's time for the Game Awards to expand them. And one category that could be cut to make space is esports. Now, esports is a big part of video games, but they're not handled well at all at the Game Awards. The awards are always given away rapid fire during the pre-show, and even the nominations aren't taken seriously, as a nominated coach admitted that he barely coached all year and requested he be removed from nomination. Also, there already exists a dedicated esports award show that does a much better job at highlighting the entirety of that massive subsection of gaming. So maybe the eligibility for that entire indie section is based on budget or team size, so more games have a better shot of being recognized and celebrated. This is a space where smaller games can thrive, because during a show created to honor and celebrate video game creators, it shouldn't all be about AAA games with massive budgets bankrolled by gigantic publishers. Like it if you liked it, subscribe if you loved it, and let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks for watching.